Welcome, one and all, or two, however many shows up for this. To Doobies with Doug, Sunset Edition. My buddy got me a jar of weed today. I forget what it's called. Pretty tasty though. He learned this trick. Well, I taught it to him. But he thinks this is the smartest thing he's ever done in the weed store now. Because he thought that when you bought the bottom of the jar, you were getting all the shit. And anybody that's ever dealt weed or dealt with large amounts of weed knows that when trichomes fall off from the buds, they go to the bottom of the jar. And if you buy the end of the jar, you're getting more trichomes and less vegetable matter. So he buys these jars of B's, is what they call them, B grade. They're not the big, perfectly trimmed nuggets. They're smaller than a bowl full. As my old stoner friend trimmers would say, don't trim anything that won't pack your bowl. But that's what he bought here, was the end of a jar. And I think it was a $5 a gram, and they gave him a break on it because it was the bottom. Every time I get the very last half ounce or quarter ounce in a jar like that, it's the best of the whole jar. I don't much like the spot I'm sitting in. I don't often sit here because it collapses a lot. But, you know. Oh, there goes the Coast Guard helicopter out there by the point. My guess would be 90% of the people who live in this neighborhood are glued to their television because it's 6 o'clock and the news is on. Even the stuff I do watch, I watch like Superior Court proceedings, Supreme Court proceedings if they're available, district courts mostly, appellate courts in districts and such, federal courts. I watch that shit on double speed because I don't have the patience. And some people just talk too slow anyway. It's pretty easy on the West Coast ones, but when you get the East Coast judges, some of them talk fast as hell. Or I watch glass blowing videos and just all kinds of weird shit. I watch it all on double speed. This, I wish I could slow down. Rewind. So this doobie here, and this pot in general from this farm, tends to be real nitrogen tasting. Not horrible, but that's one of the first things you taste in it is the aftertaste of nitrogen. How pretty is that? Anybody comes up the trail, they just can think I'm batshit crazy sitting here talking to myself. I don't give a fuck. Ooh, that one got my boo-boo. And there she goes down into the sea. Getting kind of hashy tasting now. Oh, I had the cops roll up on me last night. I think he's a new guy. I've never seen him before. City cop. He's standing there asking me a bunch of stupid questions, and I'm trying to give him a headache with my answers. And the sheriff pulls up. One of the deputies pulls up, gets out of his car, walks over and leans in the other guy's car and says something. They both drive off. I'm surprised they don't have a bolo about me yet anyway. Be on the lookout for this motherfucker. That dude had me looking up laws for a week to see which ones I broke. One of the things, I have a conversation with the guy that used to be law enforcement here in town. And one of the things I was discussing with him was there's a lot of focus on qualified immunity right now, like that's going to be some kind of an answer to holding police accountable. But the real issue isn't holding police accountable in civil court, which is what qualified immunity is. It doesn't affect criminal cases. The problem with holding them accountable is A, we're not holding them criminally accountable when they break the law. And B, they are in charge of investigating themselves when they break the law, and that's why they're not found criminally. Plus, the justice system, of course, is going to be biased towards law enforcement because they need to work under the impression that they're honest, which they are not. Got a crab boat out there crossing the sunset, headed back for the harbor. He probably just dropped off his pots. He'll be back out like 4 in the morning. I'll give you a quick look around. This is where I'm sitting, by the way. This is what I'm talking about. It's a little sketchy. Here's your kin ahead, the crab boat. You see them dots out on the horizon. Them lights, them are crab boats. Hate fall weather. My favorite tipsy tree. Moving back to the sunset. And that might be all we're gonna get with this one. But either way, it's colder than well digger's ass out here, as you can tell, because I got my Carhartts on and shit. So, that sure is pretty. Isn't it though? I'm down here in this little bowl. And every now and then you find somebody trying to camp right here, because they think because it's a bowl, it's out of the wind. The wind comes from that way or that way. And when it does, it hits this bowl and turns into a tornado. It throws shit everywhere. Go up this little ridge here. Hella moss. What kind of time are we at? 11:39. Yeah, we can go a little longer. Get up here. We'll have another look at the sunset. That's a literal postcard, ain't it? Something else. I got offered a job just before I got COVID. Training and overseeing trimmers at a trimming facility. And it was up in Portland. And it wasn't a bad job. And as far as cities go, Portland isn't horrible. I mean, it's not Shangri-La, but it's not Gary, Indiana. It's not fucking Toledo, you know, Baltimore, whatever. But it's also not here. When I come down this hill on a weekday and hit this beach, even in summer, I'd be lucky to run into 10 people in 8 hours down here. That would be like a really busy day. You know, and a couple times a year, there'll be a whole bunch of people up here, 20, 30 people on the beach. You know, whatever, but for the most part, there's like me and a half a dozen other people who have this beach to ourselves most of the time. And somehow, none of us that regularly use the beach tend to use it at the same time. Use it's the wrong word. They come out here, use the trails, I think is what I was thinking. We never tend to come out here around the same time. We bump into each other from time to time, but I just love these like hobbit trails through the Salal. It's like a very polite jungle. Anyway, this has been Doobies with Doug. I think it's part 7, the Sunset Edition. I hope you enjoyed that. I sure did.